While picking up my foster brother from work, I refused to help him serve the dishes. I watched helplessly as a young boy in the prime of his youth died from food poisoning. In my past life, I helped my foster brother serve the dish, and the boy suddenly foamed at the mouth, collapsed, and convulsed. He was later found to have died from poisoning, even though I did nothing. The boy's parents were furious and beat me nearly unconscious at the police station. When I saw my sister walking towards me, I thought help had arrived, but the next second she said coldly, "I'm the owner of this restaurant, and the security camera footage shows that he served the boy the dish. He's the murderer." Dr. Amy followed closely behind. "I found poison in his room. If I'm not mistaken, it's the same poison that the boy ingested." I was speechless and wrongly accused. On the way to jail, I was run over by the boy's family. Even in death, I couldn't understand why the two women I loved most would do this to me. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on that day. "Alan, I have something to do today and won't be at the restaurant. Pick up Kenny." I put the car keys on the shoe cabinet. "Hurry up." The familiar voice came from the other end of the phone, and I couldn't help but tremble, staring in disbelief at the contact name. After confirming that I wasn't seeing things, I looked at the calendar. Today was the day Kenny Zhou framed me. I had been reborn. Seeing that I hadn't responded, the voice on the other end said impatiently, "Alan, are you listening?" I clenched my fist, trying to control my emotions. "Got it, I'm going now." I grabbed the car keys and walked out. I arrived at my sister's restaurant. I saw Kenny Zhou sitting leisurely in a chair, playing on his cell phone. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up. "Alan, you're here. Perfect timing, I need to use the restroom. Can you help me serve the dishes?" I looked at the steak in front of me, my thoughts racing. In my previous life, I kindly helped him serve the dish. But when I received the dish, I noticed something was off. My sister had made this steak for me many times before, and I was very familiar with the taste. But the steak in front of me had a faint smell of herbal medicine. I frowned and asked, "Why does this steak smell so strange?" Kenny Zhou was taken aback, then immediately said, "Oh, it's because he came late, and some of the ingredients were used up. I replaced them with other side dishes, it's fine. He's been waiting for a long time, hurry up and serve it, I need to use the restroom." Seeing the boy looking anxious by the dining table, I didn't think much and immediately served the dish. But less than 10 minutes after he finished eating, he suddenly foamed at the mouth, collapsed, and convulsed. I anxiously called for an ambulance. But Kenny Zhou, who claimed to be using the restroom, never returned. Through forensic examination, it was confirmed that the boy died of poisoning. In an instant, his parents focused all their suspicion on me. They were furious and beat me nearly unconscious at the police station. When I saw my sister walking towards me, I thought help had arrived, but the next second she said coldly, "I'm the owner of this restaurant, and the security camera footage shows that he served the boy the dish. He's the murderer." Dr. Amy followed closely behind. "I found poison in his room. If I'm not mistaken, it's the same poison that the boy ingested." I was speechless and wrongly accused. On the way to jail, I was run over by the boy's family. Even in death, I couldn't understand why the two women I loved most would do this to me. This time, I had to find out the truth and clear my name. Seeing that I was lost in thought, Kenny Zhou waved his hand in front of me. "Alan? You can handle things here, right?" Looking at his anxious appearance, I vaguely realized that something was wrong. He could have served the dish earlier, but he sat in the chair playing on his cell phone, as if he was waiting for me to arrive. And the restaurant isn't far from home, only a 10-minute walk. Why did my sister have to ask me to pick him up? Was this all planned? Thinking of this, my hair stood on end, and I gasped. Kenny Zhou picked up the steak, waiting for me to take it. When we made eye contact, his eyes darted around, as if he felt guilty. I put my hand behind my back and said indifferently, "Never mind, you serve it, I need to use the restroom too, we can go together later." Kenny Zhou paused, as if he hadn't expected that. "Alan, don't mess around, I really need to go. You won't even help me with such a small thing, are we still friends?" "Friends?" Hearing these words, I only felt ridiculous. When I was framed as a murderer, where was he? I randomly found a chair and sat down, saying casually, "Then hurry up, I'm in a hurry too." As soon as I finished speaking, his cell phone rang. He had no choice but to put down the steak and answer the phone. "Alan, are you out yet? I'm waiting for you in the parking lot." Kenny Joe accidentally turned on the speakerphone. I immediately recognized it as my sister's voice. Wasn't she supposed to be out doing something? Why did she come back to pick him up? Was this all a scam? I saw Kenny Joe nervously cover the microphone, and after a while, he said aggrievedly, "I was in a hurry to use the restroom and wanted Alan to help me serve the dish, but he refused." My sister's voice was a little annoyed. "Not Alan, how old are you? You're not even willing to help others with such a small thing? What did I teach you before? Have you forgotten?" Of course, I hadn't forgotten, and I couldn't forget. Ever since my sister picked up Kenny Joe and made him our foster brother, everything had changed. The sentence she said to me the most was, "You are older, you should be considerate of your younger brother." She would give the best things to Kenny Joe. She would protect him. Without distinguishing right from wrong when Kenny Joe and I fought. She would give him the gifts that I had always wanted but couldn't get on his birthday. In her eyes, Kenny Joe should have a better life than me. And I had to spoil him and let him have his way, just like she did. Coming back to my senses, I didn't answer my sister's words directly, but said coldly, "Sis, who made the steak today?" As soon as I said this, the atmosphere became quiet. Kenny Joe tightly gripped his cell phone. Even my sister, who had been a little annoyed, suddenly fell silent. Pretending not to know anything, I continued, "Because the taste of the steak is a little different from what you made for me before. Did you add less seasoning?" I tactfully made an excuse for them. They finally breathed a sigh of relief. My sister echoed, it's because some of the ingredients were used up, so I replaced them with other things. It doesn't matter, hurry up and serve the dish, it'll get cold." After speaking, she hung up the phone in a hurry. I glanced at the steak. Suddenly, I thought, since I didn't put the poison in, then why was it found in my room? And why would my childhood friend, Amy Sue, go to my room to look for poison? Clearly, no one knew about this except the police and me. I scratched my head in confusion. Why was everything so coincidental? I really couldn't understand how good I had been to Amy Sue over the years. Everyone had seen it. Her tuition, food, clothing, housing, and transportation were all paid for by me. Just because she said her parents treated her badly, I bought her a house and took her out to live with me. I was so good to her, even if she wasn't grateful. Why would she want to put me to death? After the phone call ended, I just sat there playing on my cell phone. No matter how he tried to make excuses for himself, I completely ignored him. The boy at the dining table couldn't help but urge me, "Excuse me, is my dish ready yet? Why haven't you served it yet?" Kenny Joe bit his lip and finally served the dish with a stiff face. The boy ate quickly, and soon half of the steak was gone. After he was full, he rested his face on his hands and dozed off. In less than 10 minutes, he suddenly foamed at the mouth and collapsed on the ground convulsing. At this time, his parents, who had come to pick him up, happened to see the scene. Chad, what's wrong with you?" I calmly called the police. "I've already called the police, let's wait for them to handle it." Kenny Joe seemed not to have expected me to be so straightforward. He paused for a moment and was about to walk out, but I quickly grabbed him and questioned, "Where are you going?" "This customer had an accident in our restaurant, we should cooperate with the police investigation." Kenny Joe wiped the sweat from his forehead guiltily and said, "Didn't I say I needed to use the restroom? I'll just go and come back soon." I replied coldly, "Okay, I'll go with you." Kenny Joe frowned and retorted, "Why are you joining in the fun? Just stay here and wait for the police to come." I deliberately said, "Kenny Joe, you're not feeling guilty, are you? After all, you served the dish." The boy's parents' faces immediately turned angry when they heard this. The boy's father rushed up and pressed Kenny Joe to the ground, roaring, "Was it you? Did you deliberately kill my son? The effects of the poison took effect quickly, and in this short amount of time, the boy's hands and feet had become cold. He stopped breathing and lay quietly on the ground. No matter how they shook him or called him, he didn't respond. "Ah, my son! If you're gone, how will I live?" The boy's mother's cries made the boy's father unable to control his emotions any longer. He punched Kenny Joe heavily in the face. One after another, Kenny Joe's eyes were seeing stars. The boy's father kicked him in the face and body, not letting out any anger. Blood flowed from his nose and staining the floor red. After the police arrived, they quickly pulled the boy's father away. The boy's father angrily accused, "It's him. This is the person who killed my son. You quickly arrest him. He's a murderer." Kenny Joe climbed up from the ground tremblingly and argued, "And no, it wasn't me." Seeing that he was still unrepentant, the boy's father was so angry that he wanted to rush forward again. "You're lying. He said you served the dish. If it wasn't you, who else could it be?" Kenny Joe rolled his eyes, as if he had thought of a way. He covered his face and shouted, "Alan Goo, why are you so calm? Did you know the dish was poisoned all along? You planned this." In an instant, everyone's eyes turned to me. I spread my hands, saying innocently, "Don't wrong me, the steak was already made when I arrived. Even if you wanted to tamper with it, only you had the time." I went to the kitchen and looked around, and immediately said, "There are security cameras in the kitchen, why don't we see who put the poison in?" Hearing this, Kenny Joe smiled. "The kitchen security camera has been broken for a long time." I clenched my fist, so he had planned this all along, just waiting for me to jump in. Seeing that we were at a stalemate, the boy's father lost his patience. His eyes were bloodshot, and he shouted, "Who is it? Who killed my son? If I catch you, I'll make you pay with your life." The police quickly comforted him. He was about to speak when hurried footsteps came. I looked up and saw my sister. She was sweating and panting. "Police, hello, I'm their family member. What happened?" After hearing the police's explanation, my sister looked at Kenny Joe with a worried expression. Kenny Joe's eyes instantly filled with tears, and he said aggrievedly, "Sis, you have to stand up for me. How could I kill someone?" "But Alan, he seems to have known all along, he's especially calm." Saying this, my sister frowned. She walked to the police and promised, "Kenny is very honest, he wouldn't kill someone." "But Alan, you kept refusing to help Kenny serve the dish, is it because you knew there was poison inside, so you deliberately framed him?" Although I had expected it, I still couldn't help but tremble when I heard my sister say this. In her heart, was I so inferior to Kenny Joe? Even in such a serious matter of life and death, she was wholeheartedly on Kenny Joe's side. I collected my emotions and said seriously, "I didn't put the poison in, that's it. If you insist on saying it was me, then please show me the evidence." My tough attitude made my sister pause. After hesitating for a long time, she said again, "Actually, I never left, I was in the parking lot outside the restaurant. I saw you with my own eyes holding a bottle of medicine and walking into the kitchen." I almost blurted out, "How is that possible?" In the past, no matter how biased my sister was towards Kenny Joe, that was it. But now she was actually going to lie to frame me in order to protect Kenny Joe. I had never blamed her even when I died in my previous life. I suspected that Kenny Joe had found accomplices to slander and frame me. I didn't even suspect that my sister would make a false statement for him. But reality slapped me hard in the face. It turned out that in my sister's heart, I was always inferior to an outsider. Seeing that I stubbornly refused to admit guilt, my sister continued to persuade me earnestly, "Alan, we have to admit it when we do something wrong. After all, this is a living life. Let's take the initiative to confess, okay?" she said as she stepped forward to take my hand. I quickly backed away. "I didn't do it, why should I admit it? Besides, you only saw it with your own eyes, you're just saying it. Does your dashcam have it recorded?" Kenny Joe was stunned and pointed at me, shouting, "Alan Goo, what do you mean? Are you suspecting that my sister is deliberately framing you?" I laughed co-LDLY and didn't say anything. Everyone knew what was going on, so there was no need to pretend. My sister patted Kenny Joe on the back, comforting him, "It's okay. Alan might be acting impulsively." My sister paused and continued, "Since you don't admit it, then I can only ask Amy Sue to search your room. Let's see if you're secretly hiding poison." I stared at her quietly and asked, "Sis, you don't trust me that much? Or do you just want to protect Kenny Joe?" Hearing what I said, my sister sighed. "Alan, when will you grow up? I'm not being biased towards anyone or protecting anyone, but you have to admit it when you do something wrong. Since you say it wasn't you, then we'll just wait for Amy Sue's news." Now, they wanted to use the methods of my previous life to slander me again. I looked at my sister in front of me, feeling so unfamiliar. We had been together for 20 years. And yet, I couldn't see through her. I vaguely remembered the day my parents died. My sister held me in her arms and whispered, "It's okay, Alan, you still have your sister. From now on, we'll depend on each other and never leave each other." From then on, my sister opened a restaurant, and business became increasingly popular. I would come over to help her after school. The days were ordinary but beautiful. But Kenny Joe's appearance changed everything. My sister said she felt sorry for him because he was begging on the street alone, so she adopted him as our younger brother. And from that moment on, I slowly faded out of her life. Her eyes were only on Kenny Joe. Coming back to my senses, I only felt ridiculous. My sister and my childhood friend were willing to turn against me for an outsider. Since that was the case, then don't blame me for being impolite. We were taken to the police station for investigation. While waiting for Amy Sue to arrive, Kenny Joe kept trying to persuade me. "Alan, don't be stubborn with the police. If you admit your guilt earlier, maybe you can get a lighter sentence and come out sooner to reunite with us. My sister is doing this for your own good, you have to understand her." I couldn't help but glance at him and said coldly, "Are you so sure that I did it?" In my previous life, I listened to these sweet words of his, and finally took the initiative to plead guilty, wanting to come out sooner. But he secretly told the boys' parents that I was only sentenced to a short prison term. He instigated them to run me over with a car, in order to make me shut up forever and die with this grievance. Only the person who wronged you knows how wronged you are. I finally died in a pool of blood, without even having the chance to prove my innocence. Coming back to my senses, Amy Sue arrived. She was holding that familiar bottle of poison, saying the same words as in my previous life. "I found poison in his room. If I'm not mistaken, it's the same poison that the boy ingested." Kenny Joe's face showed a smug smile. "Alan, do you have anything to explain now? I really didn't expect you to do something like this." My sister also echoed, "Alan, the evidence is right in front of you. Just admit your guilt. Sis knows you might have acted impulsively, but you killed someone after all. You have to pay the price for your actions." I stared at Amy Sue, only to see her lower her head in a panic. She said softly, "Alan, I can't protect you. I'm a doctor too." After hearing these words, the boys' parents were so angry that they rushed up and grabbed my collar. "You murderer, you return my son." I raised my cell phone and said coldly, "Wait a minute. I have something to show you too. Something that can prove I'm not the murderer." Saying this, I played the security camera footage on my phone. Before leaving for my sister's restaurant, I had installed a security camera in the bedroom. I wanted to see how Amy Sue got the poison in my room. In the video, Amy Sue came to my bedroom and wandered around. Then she picked up the vitamin bottle on my table and switched the pills. I looked up at Amy Sue, only to see her face pale, as if she hadn't expected this. She said tremblingly, "This isn't me. I didn't switch the pills, I didn't." Suddenly, as if she had thought of something, she quickly said, "This video is fake. I didn't do these things." I sighed helplessly. In the police station, she still dared to say that I had faked the video. I was about to speak when my sister rushed forward and said, "Alan, there's a limit to your nonsense. How could Amy deliberately harm you? Besides, how come I didn't know there was a security camera in your room? This video is fake." I clenched my fist, only feeling ironic. Even now, they were still thinking about how to exonerate Kenny Zhou. My sister shielded Amy Sue behind her and said seriously, "Police officer, I think this video is fake and not enough to be used as evidence. Also, the security camera only filmed Amy in the room, it didn't film her leaving. Maybe she just found out that the medicine was wrong and wanted to take it out for testing first." Seeing that everyone was being swayed by my sister's words, I quickly handed the phone to the police. "Police officer, please have your forensic department analyze it. See if this video is fake. Also, Amy Sue, since you put the original pills from the bottle in your pocket, then why don't you take them out now and give them to the police together, to see if they're poisonous?" Amy Sue tightly gripped her pocket, looking at my sister with a terrified expression. "What's wrong? Don't you dare?" I pressed closer, about to turn her pocket inside out. But she took the initiative to pull out her pocket. It was empty. I paused, staring at her blankly. She then said, "I didn't switch the pills, the security camera is fake." "Alan, I really didn't expect that after so many years of friendship, you would want to harm me like this." As she spoke, tears fell from her eyes. "I just want you to face reality. We have to take responsibility when we do something wrong, instead of trying to shift it to others." Seeing that she was still unrepentant, I didn't continue to argue with her. I sat down on the chair and said indifferently, "In that case, I have nothing to say. Let's just wait for the results of the video analysis. Let's see who's lying." In less than 20 minutes, the people from the forensic department came out with the report. He pushed up his glasses and said seriously, "There are no traces of tampering. This video is real." I raised an eyebrow and looked at Amy Sue, who was sitting up straight on the side. "So, you deliberately framed me, just to protect the real murderer, Kenny Zhou." After hearing the results, the boy's parents immediately couldn't sit still. The boy's father pushed Kenny Zhou to the ground and grabbed his hair, questioning him, "You murderer, what else do you have to say? We have no grievances with you, why did you kill my son?" Kenny Zhou winced in pain. "And no, it wasn't me, I didn't kill your son." I rolled my eyes and said indifferently, "Only you and my sister went to the kitchen that day. If you say it wasn't you, could it be my sister?" My sister couldn't sit still when she heard this. "Alan Gu, what nonsense are you talking about?" I spread my hands, saying indifferently, "I'm just stating the facts." Kenny Zhou quickly helped the agitated sister, and pointed at me accusingly, "Alan, you're going too far. No matter what, you can't suspect your own sister. Don't you know what kind of person my sister is?" In the midst of the stalemate, the police announced that the restaurant needed to be temporarily closed and Amy Sue was suspended while the case was being reinvestigated. Amy Sue was so angry that she moved into our house, making snide remarks at me all day long with my sister. In their eyes, I was the one who harmed them, causing all of this. To vent their anger, my sister smashed thin GS in the house all day. She yelled at my bedroom door, "Alan Duan, you ungrateful person. I raised you with so much hardship for so many years, how did you repay me in the end? You dared to suspect me in front of the police. I'm telling you, if anything happens to Kenny, I will never let you go." Amy Sue quickly ran to her side to comfort her. "Sis, don't be angry at this kind of person, it's not worth it. I didn't expect him to be this kind of person either. I've always been thinking about how good he was to me and trying my best to repay him. In the end, he's the one who turned this house upside down. Anyway, we won't talk to him until he admits his guilt." I covered my ears, feeling a burst of frustration in my heart. Clearly, they were the ones who did something wrong, but they kept trying to blame me and criticize me. They shamelessly talked about how good they had been to me over the years, but forgot that they had changed a long time ago. Hadn't they labeled me with all sorts of things over the years? No matter what happened between Kenny Zhou and me, they would subconsciously stand by his side, protecting him. And I was always the villain from beginning to end. I didn't want to be troubled by these trivial matters anymore. So I packed my luggage and moved out. Since the security camera in my sister's restaurant kitchen was broken, it meant that Kenny Zhou must have done something in the kitchen. That's why he needed to break the security camera, to destroy the evidence. At night, I sneaked into the restaurant kitchen and began to look for evidence. Just when I was at a loss, there was a loud noise outside. I secretly slipped out from the back, only to see the boy's parents smashing the restaurant's glass door with axes. A group of reporters surrounded him. The boy's father cried out in pain. "This is the place! They killed my son! What did my son do wrong? Ah, my Chad Chin! He just started college this year." Hearing this, I paused. Cha Di Chen? Just started college? The more I heard these conditions, the more familiar they sounded. In a flash of inspiration, I finally remembered. That boy was the one who bullied Kenny Zhou many years ago. It was just that the time was too long, so I didn't recognize him when we met again. I vaguely remembered that Kenny Zhou was beaten to the ground and was on the verge of death that year. It was just because he was too hungry from being a wanderer that he went to snatch something from someone's hand. And that person was Chad Chin. Chad Chin angrily called his friends to beat him together. In the end, Kenny Zhou fell in a pool of blood, and my sister sent him to the hospital and saved him. Thinking of this, I only felt chills. Could it be that Kenny Zhou had recognized him a long time ago? And this poisoning was also premeditated. The boy's father's ruckus attracted many people. They surrounded the entrance of the restaurant and asked, "Don't cry, what happened?" "That's right, tell us what happened, maybe we can help you." The boy's father's emotions finally calmed down a bit after hearing everyone's comforting words. He said word by word, "Last week, our family came to this restaurant to eat. Because something happened in our relative's family, my wife and I left first. But when we came back, our child was already lying on the ground convulsing. His mother watched him die in her arms. The police said he died of poisoning. It must have been done by someone in their restaurant. But no one admits it. My son didn't die in peace." The boy's father cried bitterly. The people around him felt sympathy. So the next day, they pulled up banners and gathered at the entrance of the police station. They held up the banners and shouted loudly, "Give Chad Chen's father the truth. Find the murderer and eliminate the evil for the people." The entrance of the police station was packed. Due to the lack of key evidence, this case could not be solved. But the next day, the boy's father, who had been vowing to find the murderer, suddenly dropped the case. I was completely baffled, and finally had to go to the police station to inquire. At the police station, they poured me a glass of water and asked me to sit down. He said earnestly, "Your sister didn't tell you?" I was taken aback and shook my head. "What does this have to do with my sister?" The police sighed and continued, "You should know about what happened yesterday. This incident has caused a strong reaction. Everyone is questioning our ability to handle the case and suspecting us of protecting the murderer. So yesterday afternoon, we went to your house again to investigate. And then I found the victim's parents at your house." I blurted out almost immediately, "What?" The police patted me on the back to calm me down. After further investigation, they are preparing to reach a settlement. The condition is that you and your group make a public apology in front of the media and compensate them $5 million. I exclaimed, $5 million? The police didn't seem to care about that and continued, "The important thing is not this, but that the scheduled time for the public apology was an hour ago. You didn't go, so..." Looking at the police's hesitant expression, I seemed to understand something. I said tentatively, "So they put all the blame on me?" The police nodded and handed me a cell phone. There was a video on the cell phone, a replay of the live broadcast just now. In the video, Kenny Zhou stood in the middle, lowering his head in remorse. He bowed and said solemnly, "I am deeply sorry for the Chadchen incident. It was my fault for not noticing there was a problem with the dish and serving it to Chadchen, which led to his poisoning and death. Although I didn't put the poison in, I am also responsible, so I am here to apologize for my mistake. I'm sorry." In addition to the apology, I have something else to tell everyone. Hearing this, I clenched my fists, waiting for him to pronounce my sentence. Sure enough, the next moment he said with red eyes, "Actually, I always knew that my brother put the poison in, but unfortunately, I had no evidence. Today, since he's unwilling to come forward, I have to take this opportunity to tell him. Alan, turn yourself in, give the victim justice." As soon as these words came out, netizens immediately condemned me. Oh my God, I didn't expect his brother to be this kind of person. He has put a lot of effort in. I heard that that man is not his biological brother, and he is still helping him to take responsibility. That guy is such an ungrateful person. He didn't come to apologize and dragged the whole family down with him. I hope the police can arrest him as soon as possible and give this family justice. Everyone was talking at once, almost drowning me. They pulled out my personal information and photoshopped my picture onto an obituary. They even sent me private messages cursing me on various social media platforms. They judged me without knowing the truth, criticizing me from the moral high ground. And I became the murderer in everyone's eyes. The police noticed that my emotions were not right and comforted me. Hey, don't think too much. The speed of internet transmission is very fast, and many people are just following the crowd. If you're innocent, you have nothing to fear. As long as you haven't done anything, don't worry about what others say. I nodded, suddenly remembering something, and whispered in the police's ear. After leaving the police station, I was still worried. I recalled the live broadcast just now and felt a wave of irony. The two women I once loved the most were now backstabbing me. I hadn't done anything, but I had become the villain in everyone's eyes. This world is really too scary. I sensed something was wrong as soon as I arrived at my doorstep. A group of people were gathered at the door, holding something in their hands. I subconsciously retreated, but someone with sharp eyes saw me. He shouted at the top of his lungs, "Look! The murderer is back!" As soon as these words came out, everyone around turned to look at me. They approached me step by step, cursing, "You murderer, how dare you come back? The victim's family members can't sleep at night, but you are living well. Why? That's right, since the law can't punish him, then let us punish him." With that, they threw rotten vegetables at me. I couldn't explain myself and couldn't resist their attacks. "Okay, everyone, let's stop." A familiar voice sounded. I looked up and saw Chad Chen's father. He walked slowly up to me and said, "Mr. Gu, where's the 5 million? I frowned in confusion. "What 5 million? He took out a settlement, which clearly stated that my side needed to compensate the other party 5 million for mental damage. I looked at the signature. It was my sister's signature. So I pointed to the signature and said, "This wasn't signed by me, and I never said I would compensate you 5 million. Go find whoever agreed to it. I'm not taking the blame for this." Chad Chen's father was about to retort when he was interrupted by a voice. "Alan, what kind of person are you?" I turned around, and my sister slapped me hard. I covered my face, feeling a burning pain. She glared at me and said, "We've already helped you get a settlement. What more do you want? If it weren't for us, you would be going to jail, you know that. Now you're just being asked to compensate some money and you're not willing. How can you be so evil?" My eyes turned red, and I retorted, "I didn't kill anyone, why should I compensate? Besides, the police haven't convicted me, what right do you have to say I'm a criminal?" Seeing that I was still not coming to my senses, someone next to me picked up a brick and was about to hit me. At the critical moment, a loud voice rang out. "He didn't kill anyone." With just this sentence, the whole PLA CE fell silent. The police took out an arrest warrant and said sternly, "Kenny Zhou, you are under arrest for the crime of intentional homicide. Please come with us." Kenny Zhou was stunned. My sister and Amy Sue immediately protected him behind them. "Officer, you must be mistaken. How could he kill someone? That's right, you've arrested the wrong person. Alan Gu should be the murderer." I calmly took out my cell phone and played a recording. In the video, Kenny Zhou ran out of the back door and knelt on the ground crying. He said tremblingly, "Sister, I saw him again. I saw the person who used to beat me again. I dream about him beating me every night now. I want to kill him, I must kill him. Sister, I beg you, please help me." My sister hesitated and said, "There will be traces if you commit a crime. You'll be putting yourself in danger." Kenny Zhou suddenly cowed out, pleading, "But if I don't kill him, what's the difference between me and being dead? I dream about him beating me every night." It hurts so much, it really hurts, but no one is willing to help me. Sister, please help me, or I won't be able to live. Hearing him threaten his life, my sister's heart softened. She helped Kenny Joe up and said, in that case, Alan will have to suffer. I've been good to him enough over the years, it's time for him to repay me a little. That's it, Amy is a doctor, she should have some poison. Wait for a while, put the poison in the dish, and then I'll have Alan come pick you up, and you'll find an excuse to have Alan serve the dish. I'll smash the security camera in the kitchen, so you won't be suspected. Later, Amy Sue arrived and secretly gave Kenny Joe a bottle of poison at the back door. What a well-thought-out plan. This video was given to me by the young man from the restaurant next door. That night, he originally wanted to sneak into the back door to see our kitchen. Just because he wanted to know why our business was so popular, what methods and ingredients we used. As a result, he heard this shocking news. His intuition told him that this was not simple, so he picked up his cell phone and recorded the scene. He originally thought it would be something about cutting corners, but it turned out to be a murder plot. After recording the video, he quit his job and stayed at home, afraid to speak out. It wasn't until he saw in the news that I was being framed as the murderer that he stood up. Because he had come to this city penniless and wanted to work at our store. But my sister thought he looked too unsophisticated, so she didn't want him. I secretly ran to the neighbor's store and begged the uncle to give him a job, so he always remembered my kindness. When I received this video, I realized that I finally had a chance to turn things around. I must seize this evidence and clear my name. Also, personally send these people who framed me to jail and get the punishment they deserve. Perhaps my sister never expected that a person she once refused to help would now be standing opposite her as a witness. Coming back to my senses, Chad Chen's father was completely enraged. He pinned Kenny Joe to the ground and grabbed his collar, shouting, "You lied to me. My son wasn't an accident at all. It was murder. You give me back my son's life." The police were about to step forward to stop him when they were stopped by concerned citizens. He only had one son. What's wrong with beating the murderer after something happened? You police only know how to use your official power to yell at us. That's right. In the meantime, Chad Chen's father had picked up a brick and smashed it on his face. Each hit was almost with all his strength, as if wanting to kill him. You murderer! I want you to pay for my son's life. Kenny Joe was smashed until he was dizzy and bleeding from all 7 orifices. He used all his strength to push Chad Chen's father off him. In an instant, the situation reversed. Kenny Joe straddled him, roaring, "Why don't you ask why your son beat me in the first place? Was it necessary to try and kill me just because I stole some of his food? If you ask me, your son deserved to die. I only regret it now, regret letting him die so easily. I should have tortured him slowly, let him die in pain." He revealed a hideous smile as he spoke. Then he snatched the brick from Chad Chen's father and returned it hit by hit. Chad Chen's father was smashed in the head and bled nonstop. Even my sister, who usually protected him, was stunned in place. Coming back to her senses, she hurriedly tried to grab the brick from Kenny Joe's hand. "Kenny! Stop hitting him! He's going to die if you hit him again. Stop it!" Kenny Joe pushed her away, sneering, "What does it have to do with you? You don't really think of yourself as my sister, do you? I'm telling you, if you hadn't insisted on taking me home, I would have been adopted by that rich family long ago. You said you wanted to adopt me because you felt a connection with me, but in reality, you deprived me of a life of wealth and luxury. I hate you, everything I have now is your fault." My sister got up from the ground in disbelief and questioned, "What are you saying? You actually think of me that way? If I hadn't saved you from him in the first place, you would have been beaten to death, you know that? Now I'm not only helping you come up with a way to kill someone, but I'm also protecting you and trying to help you get away with it. In the end, you're still blaming me for everything? You're such an ungrateful person, I misjudged you." Amy Sue rushed up and slapped him, shouting, "You shameless bastard, we helped you out of kindness, but you treat us like this in the end. Do you know that I lost my job because of this?" Kenny Joe touched his face and mocked, "What are you such a great person? Before I came, you were always following Alan Duan, and as soon as I came, you rushed to fawn over me. You are all bitches. He took out a knife that he had prepared in advance and stood up shakily. He was about to stab Chad Chen's father when he was suddenly pushed to the ground. Police reinforcements arrived and put handcuffs on the three of them. My sister and Amy Sue panicked instantly. They knelt in front of me, begging, Alan, we were blinded for a moment. Please help us, okay? Drop the charges, let's pretend this never happened, okay? I'm your sister, I raised you since you were little, you can't do this to me. I kicked her away, coldly saying, in my heart, you are no longer my sister. With that, the police escorted them into the police car. Looking at their backs, I felt a wave of relief. Finally, my innocence was won back by myself.